Hi, I'm Robin Sinha. I'm here in Soho, central London, to introduce you to the Leica M EV1, the first Leica M camera with a built-in electronic viewfinder. It's dedicated to one cause and therefore it does it extremely well. So let's find out what the electronic viewfinder brings to M photography. To do so, I think we need to make some comparisons first with the classic M rangefinder. I have my Leica M11 here, which of course features the traditional, the classic M rangefinder. For compositional purposes and for focusing, you need to look through the viewfinder here. You always see a 28mm view, regardless of what lens is mounted on the camera body. But if we take the M EV1, we look through the electronic viewfinder, we're suddenly realizing we are viewing directly through the lens. We have what's called a full field of view. Now, of course, this isn't new if you've been familiar with mirrorless cameras, but of course this is certainly something new to M photography, particularly if we're comparing it with the traditional approach. I'd often heard that this was the ultimate tool for street photography, but how could that be with no autofocus on the camera? With the M EV1, it makes focus simple. It features a high-res 5.76 megapixel display. To look through, it's incredibly immersive, it's giving me beautiful, rich colors, and the view is crystal clear. What's more, we have a little diopter adjustment here on the back. We click that out, we make sure that it's set to your own personal eye prescription, and then we lock it back in to ensure that it's not going to move accidentally. So that's certainly an advantage if your eyesight isn't quite what it used to be. More than that, we also have a couple of focus aid technologies at play. Firstly, we have the option to magnify into our scene. By default, there is a function button at the top, and if we press this, this will activate that magnification. Now we can toggle between the amount of magnification by using this thumb wheel at the back. We can move between 5 times closer or 10 times closer. Now, a little tip here, we can use the navigational pad at the back. We can press any of those arrows, and when doing so, a little crosshair will pop up. We can then move that crosshair to the area of the frame where we want the magnification to occur. So in practice, for example, I could be doing a portrait. I would find my general composition first. I would move the crosshair towards my subject's eye, tap the function button, and then find my focus nice and easily. We also have focus peaking technology to make use of. What that does is it applies a thin contour line to the sharpest parts of your scene, therefore the parts of your scene that are coming in and out of focus. Now, if we combine this focus peaking technology with magnification, with that high-res electronic viewfinder, you can really be confident that you're nailing the focus every time. On the traditional M camera, we need to start to master some of the techniques behind shooting quickly. Now, of course, this is an absolute necessity for certain areas of photography, such as street photography. Zone focusing, for example, is an essential skill. Now, the good news here is that it's absolutely applicable to the M EV1 because all that setup is all done on the lens itself. It's also worth mentioning the digital crop function of this camera. To activate the digital crop, you pull this little lever on the front and I can toggle between a 1.3 times crop or a 1.8 times crop. Now, these crop lines that show up through the electronic viewfinder are reminiscent of the frame lines of the traditional rangefinder camera. With a 35mm lens on and with that 1.3 times crop in play, I'm taken into a 45mm effective field of view. With a 1.8 times crop, I'm taken all the way to a 63mm effective field of view. If I'm shooting RAW files, as I usually do, that crop is absolutely reversible, meaning I can load that RAW file into my chosen software, it will open with that crop, I can hit reset and see the full, in this case, 35mm field of view. If I'm shooting JPEG, however, I do have to realize that the crop is irreversible, meaning I will lose resolution. So if I start off with a 60 megapixel JPEG and I employ the 1.8 times crop, I'll be down to an 18 megapixel file. I have to admit to being initially a little bit skeptical about the removal of the rangefinder and replacement of the electronic viewfinder. I worried that in some way this could take away the spirit of the camera. Having had a few days to get familiar with the camera and start to understand all the benefits in which it brings, I have to say I am fully on board. This is not here to replace the traditional rangefinder, it merely complements it. If you've ever been curious about M photography, I strongly encourage you to get this camera in your hands and try it out for yourself.